doing the testosterone.
Well, that's normal. That's bringing me up to a base level, so I'm allowed that. It's on prescription, like you said, professionals. So a professional said that it's fine for me to have that.
Yeah. Anyway,
you're right, but what would I do with that 20 minutes?
Well, let's think what you might do. What would you like to do? Let's say we could steer you. How long do you train for? An hour and a half, or?
Yeah, probably an hour and a half.
6 days a week.
No.
5 days a week.
4 days a week.
4 days a week.
Yeah.
What about training for? What about training for an hour 5 times a week?
It's an interesting question. So
just to see if you could do it.
If I did an hour 5 times a week, so 5 hours yeah.
What would happen?
Well, you see, interesting enough, what I do is if I train 5 days a week, is I change the split. So instead of doing parts of my body in 2 installments, I would do it in 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd actually, let's say I do like chest and back one day, and then I do legs and arms one day, and then I do shoulders and arms one day, and then legs.
Yeah.
So I would be doing. So that's what I would do. So actually, part of the reason why it's 6 hours for 4 sessions is because I'm cramming. When I first started training when I was young, I trained 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
I probably wasn't training much more than an hour each time, because of course I was splitting my body up. So I was doing it. So I was doing it 3 times each body part 3 times each body part twice a week. But I was splitting it into 3 segments, whereas now I'm doing each body part twice a week, splitting it into 2.
Mm.
But
So could you do it?
I don't know. It's a short answer, because what Martha objects to most about training is the weekends.
Mm.
So in her mind, what I might be able to do to say to her, and obviously work gets in the way a bit as well, because sometimes I just don't have the time. But if I could say to her, well, I will train, I'll split the sessions up. So I'm training 5 days a week, but over the working week, and then I won't train at the weekends, she would probably think that was a reasonable deal.
And that would steal you back a little bit of time, would it?
It would potentially, because in Martha's mind, you see, she thinks the gym takes a lot longer. Well, so she says, well, you go upstairs, you get changed, you clean your teeth, probably go to the loo. It's always, then you train, and that's like 2 hours between, half an hour to get ready or so, then an hour and a half in the gym, and then an hour on, not half an hour at the other end of it, or whatever.
Yeah.
So if I said to her, well, look, she probably would, but I don't know. What would I do with the time?
Okay, well, that's a different matter. But the first thing is you'd have to create a space.
Well, I will be honest with you. Part of me is thinking, if I train 5 sessions a week, then that will be actually more intense and more productive than if I train 4 times a week, because actually I'll be getting an extra session in a week.
I'm just trying to free up some of your time.
No, I'm thinking about. So you wouldn't be stealing anything from me.
No.
Sorry, not that you're trying to steal anything.
But that's why it's attractive, right?
To me, yes.
And to me, because it's less time in the gym.
To me, it's because it's actually no less productive time.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm sure it means you don't need to work out for an hour and a half, right?
Yeah, because actually I can create a sufficient level of intensity by, it's only because it's those little bits that the half an hour is the bit that I would add up to nearly another session.
Yeah.
So if you think about the core session would be 4 hours, the other 2 hours are the bits that add up to the non-core bit.
Yes. So, what would you do with your time? Well, we need to kind of explore that, don't we? I mean, what would you like to do with your time?
I don't know. Part of my big problem is I have no interests.
You don't. Nobody has no interest, Marcus.
Well, apart from... No, but in a sense...
You have no realised interests.
No realised interests, yeah. I don't have any hobbies.
No, but there wouldn't have... How could there ever have been any hobbies with the way things have been? I mean...
I suppose that's true.
There was no space for hobbies.
No space for hobbies, no.
No, but there is now. Because you've got a large chunk of your life ahead of you, of which PwC will only use up...
Another 9 years.
Another 9 years. You know, you don't really want to be spat out of the end of PwC with no hobbies, no interests, no...
No, but at 60 I'm planning on working for at least another 15 years anyway.
I know, but still, you'll have a portfolio career.
Exactly, that would be interesting.
And a portfolio career is very often driven by our interests and passions and fascinations and, you know...
Yeah.
Or certainly if it's going to be satisfying.
Yeah, mine would be probably, non-exec roles around boards because I get to the environment I enjoy working in. I enjoy that environment, and I so that would probably be what I would do ideally. That was my plan anyway. But you're right. I think it's.
But still, the point is, when you have a portfolio career, you have the chance to design your life the way you want it to look. No longer is PwC saying, "Look, this is what we expect from you if you're going to be a partner at this level." You can decide.
They'll work 4 days a week.
Yeah, you may work, well, we'll see, but you may work 4 days a week, you may work 3 days a week, you know what I mean? There's a capacity to live life in a different way.
I think the thing that I most miss is just being on my own.
Yeah. Do you live near any areas of beautiful wilderness, or what's your nearest sort of patch of wilderness? Do you like?
Probably. Well, the nearest place to us is Richmond Park.
Yeah.
Probably.
Do you like Richmond Park?
Yeah.
When you think about being on your own, do you think about being on your own in nature, or do you think about being on your own next to a roaring fire? Or
well, you see, I think
what's your kind of image of...
You see, I always love, books are a bit like a drug because there's some books are like a double-edged sword for me because when I was at school, how I dealt with my unhappiness sometimes was to read because my mind was then somewhere else. So there is sometimes a bit of an addiction about a book that does have that power to sort of
capture.
Even if it's rubbish, it's not really what I'm reading. It's the concept of being not where I am.
It's also the concept of keeping. I think there's a great fear in your psyche about what will happen if the wheels don't keep on turning. And books is a great way to keep the wheels turning.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we first met, I remember standing out there and saying something along the lines of, I'd love to give you a bit of quiet in your mind or a bit of peace.
Yeah.
And you said, "Oh my God, don't do that. I'm an absolute disaster. I mean, what's going to happen then?" I mean, and books are a great way of kind of warding off that possibility, aren't they?
I suppose so, yeah, because I read when I'm having these moments to fuck off. It's not just me. I tend to read more than anything else.
Yeah. I think it's a good coping mechanism, but I'm just wondering if we can widen your range of techniques.
So what else could I do?
So, some form of mindfulness or meditative process.
Well, I want to do that. I think
I'm
sort of thinking to myself that journey from work to home is an ideal point to try to learn these things. A, because it's roughly 50 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, perfect.
2, because I'm comfortable enough with Paddy not to feel the need to fill in conversation, and he likewise.
Yeah.
And secondly, is that actually, if anything, one of the reasons why I do that trip is to detach myself from work before I walk through the door.
Yeah. It's a good practice. And so normally you would fill that time, I'm imagining, with